with the author of the proposed new Border Safety and Security Act, Texas Congressman Chip Roy. Welcome back, Congressman.
Good to be on, Shannon.
Okay, so let me ask you bluntly, will this measure go anywhere? Republicans are in the minority, and there doesn't seem to be a big appetite for getting something done at the border.
Well, there's zero chance anything is going to get done on the border under this administration, right? Unless Republicans get serious between now and September 30th when it comes to funding. Why are we funding a Department of Homeland Security that refuses to secure the border? The president goes down and he finds his way to Uvalde, Texas. We're all heartbroken over what happened there. We've been watching Uvalde and all of South Texas under constant assault for the entirety of the Biden administration. Ranchers who are having their ranches overrun. And now you've got a caravan of 15,000 people coming up to the border. And now I'm talking to DPS today, Texas DPS, and they're telling me that cartels are now operating in Texas over 100 miles into the border into Texas. That's what's happening. And what happened last Thursday in the Judiciary Committee? They're moving forward legislation that would make me a criminal and every rancher a criminal in Texas if we have a 20-gauge single-barrel shotgun or a 22 propped up in the corner and we have kids in our house. These ranchers are using these weapons. They're giving them to their kids to defend themselves. And that's what Democrats want to do, is politicize a tragedy and then do that to undermine the American people's ability to defend themselves when this administration refuses to, flat out refuses to secure the border. And it's intentional. You saw the Griff's reporting where he's saying you got people coming up here saying, you got to let us in. They're going to come up to the border. Border Patrol is going to have to process them. And guess what cartels are going to be doing in the meantime? Running up between the ports of entry, carrying more fentanyl in, and endangering Texans and all of America.
I want to read something from Human Rights Watch because the headline is the U.S. is playing politics with migrant lives. I mean, they recognize there is an unsustainable situation at the border, but they say this is their take. Expulsions, actually kicking people out, make the border less safe, particularly for those who make repeated dangerous attempts to cross. Each time, migrants and asylum seekers are often increasingly exhausted, dehydrated, and sick. Once expelled, they've been met with cruelty and targeted violence in northern Mexico, remote areas of the jungle in Central America, or their countries of origin. You and I have talked about this problem many times and about the fact that these are human beings. These are children. These are moms and dads. These are single people, but these are human beings. They're clearly facing mistreatment. But what do you make of Human Rights Watch's assessment that it's because of expulsions that they're put in even more danger?
Well, they're right about the fact that they're in danger, but what they're wrong about is what's causing it, right? The Biden administration is actually making it worse by creating a magnet. And for all of your viewers out there, just understand, the baseline law in the United States is that the border has to be secure and we have to have operational control of it. But we have exceptions for asylum for specific credible fear of persecution for religious beliefs and actual persecution. And instead, they're allowing asylum to swallow the rule. So they allow everybody to come to the United States, claim asylum, and then get released in the United States. Look at the April numbers. 234,000 apprehensions. 117,000 were released. That's even with Title 42 still in place. If you do that, what happens? You get a caravan of 15,000. You get more people coming. You get more fentanyl coming. You got more money going to cartels. And they know this. So and all of these humanitarian organizations, human rights, they know it.
Who benefits, though, by this disastrous situation at the border? Like, why isn't there some, overwhelming coming together to try to find a solution? I mean, who benefits by these people being in these terrible situations? And our Border Patrol agents who are out there risking their lives literally every day?
Well, you can't look at this in any way other than the Democrats are using this for crass political purposes. Not one single Democrat, not one, has been willing to step up and cross the line and come over to the Republican side of the aisle and say, you know what, we should continue to enforce Title 42, or we should at least modify our rules so that we can turn people away. Not one.
What about people like Congressman Henry Cuellar? There are senators in Arizona as well who say they think the Title 42 move is a wrong one. So do you give them some credit for meeting you there?
Well, we have a discharge petition on the floor of the House of Representatives. Not one single Democrat has signed the discharge petition to force us to actually pass a law to say we're going to continue to enforce Title 42 as long as there's a state of emergency in states. But importantly, great, yes, I'm glad there's a handful of Democrats, Kristen Sinema, some others that have said, hey, maybe we shouldn't have Title 42. But you know what? Title 42 is a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. We actually need to tell the world, if you come to the United States, you have to follow these rules rules. You're going to follow these rules. You're going to be detained for the entirety of an adjudication of an actual asylum claim, and then you'll be turned away if we're not detaining you. If you do that, that's what the Trump administration did. The numbers go down. They become manageable. And here's the important part. To the part about, caring for people. We need to be exporting the rule of law and improving the Western Hemisphere to beat back on China rather than importing lawlessness, importing fentanyl, and endangering Americans.
Yeah.
The Biden administration is doing it purposefully for crass political reasons, and they're endangering Americans and migrants in the process.
Well, the border is a disaster and very dangerous for people on both sides. We know you're there on the front lines in Texas. So, Congressman, thank you for stopping in to talk about it. And hopefully one day we'll have a conversation that actually involves some progress. In the meantime, thank you.
Amen. God bless you, Shannon.
You too.